Good morning, everybody. All right, this is, I don't know if anybody's out there. I just thought I'd fire up this live stream and give it a go if anybody's out there. I got a bunch of stuff here on the desk I'm trying to clean up. All right. I was just checking this live stream on another one. Okay, got a 4-second delay here. Yeah. Bumping around here, y'all forgive me. Had quite an exciting week here. Last week my back was hurting. It's bad. I don't know what I done with it. We've been concentrating on ergonomics for the past month, and that back pain really brought it to light for me. So I ended up going to get some shots in the back, and so if anybody's out there, guys, yeah, just be careful when you're out there using proper lifting techniques. Don't lift anything that's too daggum heavy. Use proper lifting techniques. Get someone to help you if it weighs more than 50 pounds or so, so that when you get my age, you're not experiencing this thing called chronic back pain. It's a constant thing to have to deal with. I got one viewer, which is myself. I wonder if I can write myself a note, a comment. Let's see. Yeah. I say good morning to myself from another computer. I wonder if I should go to my other channel and send out a notification. Anyway, I'll just see what goes on here. I got another icon I'm going to light up. I got some crickets. I wonder if they'll play. I'll get a copyright hit on that because it's that music's related to my other channel. I'll have to take it down eventually when it goes to make a recording. Get this feedback loop out. All right. This past week, I sent out a toolbox topic. Let's see if I can pull that up. And I'll keep an eye on the comments, but I'll see if I can't pull that toolbox topic up for this past week. It was respirator care. Yeah. Listen, guys, when with this COVID thing, I know you see people everywhere wearing various type of respirators and face shields. I've seen all kinds of crazy things out there. When I'm in the public, there's people or these stores and some governments and local municipalities are mandating the use of mask wherever you go. Well, I've seen people walk into a store with some weird stuff, so to say. Either from full face to half face respirators. I've seen one guy only had one cartridge on a half face respirator and the other side was just open. But see, nobody says anything to them. If I were on a job site that had, you fell under the OSHA standards, then that individual would be in trouble. So people in the construction industry overall are better trained at the use of respirators. We have this pandemic out there, and these people don't understand it, man. They're wearing. I see people with 2 respirators. I don't know who brought that up, where that came from. I'm not understanding any of this stuff. Even though I understand any bit of protection is better than no protection at all. In the construction business, we've got to we got a pulmonary fit test. We got a pulmonary physical that we have to go through. That means to make sure that our heart and lungs are capable of handling the strain that a respirator puts on the body. And then we have to be fit tested to make sure that we're wearing the right size respirator to make sure we got a good fit. So when I see people out there craziness wearing those things, I'm thinking, what do we do? You stop and try and say something. I learned that right off the bat. Don't say nothing to nobody, man. If you don't got no authority over me, somebody who's wearing a mask is just going to soon tell you to kiss their butt whenever you try to give them some instruction or some information about what they're doing. They just don't want to hear it. They don't want. They listen to the government talk about wearing a mask, but they don't want to listen to a guy on the street that they run into who wants to give them assistance and make sure that they're wearing that thing properly to gain the benefit of wearing a respirator. What do you do? What do you do? And then when you take a reading wearing these medical respirators, these people are under a constant low oxygen environment now. How good could that be on your health, especially if you've not been pulmonary physical, and you go into a store and they say you must wear this, and you have no idea that you have some underlying condition, and you go into this store and you put on your face mask, and subject yourself to a low oxygen environment, and you're already marginal, your body, on being able to survive in a full oxygenated environment, which is what, 21 and a half or 21% oxygen, and you're wearing a respirator. They've done tests, and you're in a low oxygen environment wearing that respirator, which is 19.5. That means a low oxygen environment, and you're subjecting your body to it. And like I said, if you have some underlying conditions, it could hurt you. And then who's responsible? Well, they don't have to come into the store. Yeah, but you mandated it. I didn't know I was sick. You mandated me to do something that I was unaware of. Well, who's going to pay for that consequence? It's all crazy. Anyway, for you guys who are in the construction field, this is for you. We wear half face respirators in all kinds of conditions. They're air purifying respirators. They're not oxygen supplied. All they do is remove contaminants from your breathing space. Asbestos workers, lead workers, torch operators. If there's some type of high dust concentration, you can wear them. Sandblasters wear them. All these people who are involved, they wear a HEPA filter. Now, in some situations, like when you burn metal, you may have to have a 2-stage, which has a gray organic filter associated with that. That's it filters out organics that you may generate from torching operations. You have to be fit tested. You have to be pulmonary physical. We talked about that briefly. Pulmonary physical, where you go to a physician, and the physician runs you through a battery of tests, or he gives you a questionnaire. It depends. A young guy who's 25 and don't smoke, he can fill out the questionnaire, and the physician can look at him and make a determination. Yeah, this guy can wear a respirator, no problem. However, if the older you get, and you've been a brick mason all your life, and you smoke cigarettes, and you go in there, man, your lungs are probably having a hard time capturing all the oxygen that your body needs in a breath without a respirator. And then you add the burden of a respirator. They'll make you blow into a tube that checks your lungs capacities, and then some of them even check how much oxygen you absorb in that breath. So once you get pulmonary physicaled, then you have to be fit tested. When you're fit tested, it has to be with the size and type of respirator that you intend to use. So if I'm going to use a north half face with a HEPA filter, then I need to present myself to a qualified person who can do that fit test. And there's a couple different things. You could do a quantifying test where they hook it up to a machine and it makes measurements. And then there's the one where I use is irritant smoke. You got a little bulb and a little glass cylinder, and you break it and you pump this smoke around the respirator, and you have the guy turn their heads one way and the other, up and down, left and right, hold, breathe, and then you have them read I use the Rainbow Passage. It's just one that's accepted out there in the construction industry. But I make them read the Rainbow Passage, and once they read the Rainbow Passage, I'm pumping that smoke. I make sure they get a tight fit. If there's a leak, that smoke will make them cough, or they'll turn away from it. And at that point, I've got to find them a different size respirator or a different type of respirator, something that would get a good seal. And then we have the good seal. Me wearing this mustache and goatee, I probably would not get a good seal with a half-face respirator. So that's why you have to be clean shaven and make sure that you get a good seal with that respirator, particularly if you're doing something like asbestos or torch burning all day long. You want to protect your lungs. So that's that. And then there's the different types of filters. But this checking my stats here. But then there's the full face respirators. With a full face respirator, same principle. So, well, let's go back to the half face. You have the half face, which is non-PAPR, which is it's just a negative air. It means you're doing all the work. Your lungs are doing all the work. And I think that's a protection factor of 5. And then they have what they call a PAPR, which is a powered respirator. And normally there's a motor down here that's blowing the air into you, so you get always a positive air pressure. And some of them have snorkels that come off and go to the back and hook up to a pump on their back. All kinds of configurations, but that's a protection level 10, because you've got constant air pressure. You're not having to do the lung work, and the filters, it has a higher capacity when you do that. And then you have a full face, and it could be either in a negative air where you do all the work, your body does all the work, or you can have a full face PAPR, which is a powered air respirator. So you have motors blowing air across that. And all those type do is filter their air purifying respirators. They just take contaminants out of the air. And you have to know what your exposure is. If it's just dust or burning steel that may have some lead on it, then you'll have to have a dual stage, which would be normally a gray 2-stage. It'll be gray on the bottom and pink on the top. That means the HEPA filter first and then an organic filter on the bottom. That's that exposure. If you're dealing with asbestos only, then you would only need a HEPA filter that is the right type of filter to filter out that size particle. And then if you're doing abrasive blasting or something like that, you may just need a HEPA, or you may need a different stage. And they have different, you can look it up online. You can look at dual stage HEPA filters, and there's pink and gray and yellow and all kinds of different things for different exposures. So it's important to know what your exposure is when you begin a project. If you're a HAZWOPER individual, which is a hazardous waste worker, I do that training, so that's why I'm familiar with it. And then you have supplied air respirators. With a supplied air respirator, that means that you're getting your air from someone else, and it's a positive system. It keeps a constant flow just right at or above atmospheric pressures. Then there's two or three different ways you could do that. What they call a self-contained breathing apparatus, or a scuba. That's where you've got a tank on your back. You'll see firefighters wearing that a lot of times. A tank on your back and a regulator, and then a meter that shows how much of that how much oxygen is left in your tank. And those are, you have to be pulmonary physical fit tested for that as well. And it's bulky if you have to put in a self-contained breathing apparatus to go into a building. You know, if you got a small opening, if you got to turn, you may have to wiggle through something. So it's cumbersome, no doubt. However, it depends on the exposure, whether you need to go to a supplied air system. It could be I don't know, a situation where there's an ammonia leak in a building. And it's taking all the air out of the building. normally with these type of things, there's a chemical or a gas or something that displaces the oxygen in the air. It runs it out of the building, so it lowers the oxygen content in the space that you're working. So you'll need a supplied air, because a air purifying respirator does not make oxygen, and you're still going into a low oxygen environment, and it could contain poisonous chemicals which would damage your lungs and could kill you. But that's a different. If I had pictures, I'd put them up. I guess I could look at them, but I'd just rather talk about it. If somebody tunes in and starts watching this and they've got a question, they can type it in, and then if I have to, I'll go hunt down some pictures. This is just a safety talk. Call it safety net. So we're at scuba now. Next is the supplied air that comes from a line. You see this from time to time, guys in big bubble suits, walking into a highly poisonous or dangerous environment, and that air is supplied to you by a line that is hooked to a generator or some tanks out in a distant place, so that you're trailing this line behind you. Now, when you have that type of supplied air, you have to have an emergency tank, and you'll see them on their hips or something like a small tank. That's in case, heaven forbid, you're in a supplied air system with the line, and you go into a building and something comes loose. Say it comes loose from the generator or from the tanks, or something falls on it and crimps the line, and all of a sudden your air is cut off. Then you have to have that emergency oxygen supply, and it doesn't last very long. It's very short duration on those small tanks, so you have to act quickly. You have to plan your work, what you're going to do, what your emergency action plan is you're performing those tasks. All kinds of things go into that. So that's, if you watch that video at Middleclassbubba, the other website. The other YouTube channel, when you see me, when you hear this respirator, cleaning your respirator is just talking about care. And all the air purifying respirators have faced that this has a disposable filter cartridge, and it usually contains a chemical to trap contaminants. The filter cartridge should be replaced immediately if you're wearing it and it becomes difficult to inhale. That means it's reached its limit, and it's getting clogged. It's doing its job, which is good, and the filters need to be replaced. And if also, sometimes if you're in a building, you start to smell something and you're wearing a air purifying respirator, it's time to change those filters. Along with that, anytime you put on any type of respiratory protection, you need to do an inspection on that. Make sure it fits daily, and these inspections should be done daily and before each use. So if you go to lunch and you come back, you need to recheck your respirator. Something could have failed in that. So part of the examination is check the elastic headbands and make sure they've not lost their elasticity. Check the headband for tears and frays or loose strands. Take the cartridge off and examine the cartridge housing and make sure the screw threads aren't broken, which could allow air to bypass the filter. And then check the cartridge threads. Make sure they're not stripped or damaged. And then check the face piece for tears, cuts, or holes. Inspect the exhaust valves. They've got little rubber valves in them. Sometimes they get warped and damaged, and you're bypassing the filter, or it's not closing when you do your exhalation, so you're blowing stuff. Anyway, you need to check that. And then cleaning your respirator. I come on job sites and people have got a respirator out there. I've walked on job sites and they're hanging on a nail and doing asbestos work, and the dadgum respirator's hanging on a nail in the building somewhere, just all the dust and stuff is falling into it. And then the guys come back from lunch and don't clean it, don't inspect it, just put it right back on and go to work. I can't believe that's laziness. I got to believe that's just a lack of training. Maybe they don't think the environment is dangerous. We got a lot of foreign workers, people from different countries here, with the language barrier, their educational backgrounds. We don't know all that. So we can't assume that they know how to use a respirator. We got to make sure we do our due diligence as a supervisor, an employer, any of those things, and ensure that they wear those respirators correctly and they know how to inspect them and clean them. And it should be done before use and after use. Now, how do you clean a respirator? Well, you disassemble it. Take the cartridges. You don't want the cartridges to get wet because it affects how they perform their work. So to clean them, you remove the cartridges, and you can wash them in warm, soapy water. Just give them a good washing in warm, soapy water. I wouldn't scrub them or give them any kind of harsh treatment, especially those little rubber valves on the inhalation valves and the exhalation valve. You don't want to damage those through too aggressive of a brushing or using a washcloth, but you do use your fingers and some soap and clean them out and then rinse them, and then you want to disinfect them. Any type of germicidal soap or anything like that should do a job. You could check with your manufacturer and see if they recommend any other special treatment to clean their filters. And then there's storage. Guys take them off, don't clean them, and just shove them in a sack and then throw them in the back of a truck, and it's 100 degrees outside. And then the next day they take them out of the bag and they're like all mangled up. Well, that's not going to get a good fit test. So you need to take care of your respirators. Make sure you put them in a plastic bag, something that you can zip up and keep contaminants out. And then store them in a way that they don't get deformed. Store them in a way where they don't get deformed. Don't expose them to any kind of chemicals, heat, any kind of environmental thing that could affect their components at which they're formed from. All right. And there's a lot more that goes along with that. If you have questions on respirator use, types of respirators, what environments, any of that kind of stuff, please feel free to put something in the comments. Anyway, let's see what we got here. Checking on the string. Okay. All right. These live streams, they're sporadic. I think the last one I done was 3 months ago, and I'll tell you why. I'd love to do these every Saturday morning, or another time if anybody's got suggestions. We could all kind of come up with a time to do these live streams, so that you can ask questions and get answers, and we'll do the research online and all that stuff. But the reason I don't do them very often is because I work in town all week, and then I retire to the bunker in an undisclosed location in the mountains, and I don't have internet service up there. Now I'm signed up for Starlink. Mr. Musk been signed up for that for a couple months now. I've not received my dish or anything like that. I'm in line. I've prepaid and put on a deposit and all this stuff. And if that comes through, if the satellite, there's a lot of good stuff about that Starlink. I just hope that when it comes out, that, or when I get it, that is true to what they say. But that's the reason I don't do these more often, because I'm up every Saturday morning at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, ready to get the day going. Now, I ain't bragging, because about 8 o'clock at night, I'm out, man. 8:39, somewhere around it. But anyway, that's why I only do this on occasion. If once I get the satellite going and have a good connection on Saturday mornings, I'll make it a habit. I'll make it a regular occurrence. I have another channel. It's Middleclassbubba too, but there's a space between middle class and Bubba, and on this one it's one word, Middleclassbubba, straight through, no dashes or spaces. Something to do with analytics and all that stuff, that they say that a live stream causes viewer relationships or viewer statistics to degrade, or I don't know. I'm just following advice what all these guys say on the YouTube, and I just want to reach out to everybody. And so as soon as I get the satellite stuff going, we'll try this on a more regular basis, and then I'll let people know, my other viewers on the other channel know that this happens on a Saturday morning. I think I got 94, 95 subscribers. There's probably 150, 200 videos on the other channel, and there's two things on that other channel. I do weekly toolbox safety topic videos, like this respirator cleaning, caring for, and I put the notes in there. I put the notes in the description so that if you're a manager or a supervisor, or you're just a team member, you could volunteer to do the toolbox safety topic, which in a lot of companies is a weekly requirement. And you could either show the video and have guys sign in a sign-in sheet, or you can watch the video, print off the notes, and have your own toolbox safety topic video, and you'll just have the ammunition to do it better. Or if you need a toolbox topic idea, pull it up off of there. So it works in a bunch of different ways, and that's why I do it, because I want people to be able to satisfy the OSHA standard and have a safe and effective workforce with them. Anyway, that's that bit of business. I'm just looking here. It's like I'm going public. Yeah. Yeah, I'll put, when I kick this thing up a notch and have it on a weekly basis, I will start posting notifications on the other videos, making sure that this is resources available on Saturday morning. I know, dadgummit, who wants to get up at 5 o'clock on Saturday morning and watch a darn guy talk about safety? I dig that. But there's a lot of guys out there who work all the time, and they want to improve their business and improve their stature and improve their knowledge. And that's what we'll do here. We all got challenges. You could, if you have a challenge, put it in the notes down below. Put it in the comments. And the next time that we fire up the safety net, then we'll cover those challenges, those questions. Or if you're out there right now watching, it doesn't look like anybody's watching, so I'm just practicing running my mouth. You could put in a question then, and it'll get answered. Either I'll send you a text, or I'll send you a reply to your comment and point you in the right direction where to find the answers, what I think is a good way to solve your challenge, and all kinds of this is a resource. I want to be a resource. I want guys to be safe. I want all our people to go home every day to their families after working hard making money for bread, to provide for their family, food, clothing, and shelter. I want all our guys to go home. Over my years, there's been 4 fatalities. A fall from heights, a crush, guy got crushed. Well, I had 2 guys get crushed. One guy got crushed by a brick wall. Had a guy die in an accident, an auto accident. And I had another guy who had a large piece of equipment fall on him and crush him. So that's stuff I don't want to deal with anymore. If I could share my training knowledge and experience and have any of you guys avoid that kind of thing, that's what this is for. Been at this for 34 minutes. Man, I'm a gabbing thing, ain't I? Well, you know what to say about dead space. Let's see. And then I also do a weekly recap from the job sites that I visit. Let's see here. Close that. And then I do a weekly recap. And I normally have words of wisdom and things like that I come across and read. This past week it was about honesty. 12 different reasons why being honest is the best policy. Honesty is the best policy. Biggest one, number 1, when you're honest, it causes less guilt. It makes perfect sense to me. You tell somebody something that's untrue, then you have to maintain that for your entire relationship with that individual. Now, I don't know what your background is or anything like that, but I don't want to bear no burden of always knowing that I've told a story, because it'll eventually come out. Always comes out. The truth is always revealed. The truth is always revealed. Sometime, somewhere. And Karma, she's quite a woman. When you do wrong and it comes back, boys and girls, it comes back. And I believe that. And then being honest gets you more of what you want. Just if you're in a business situation and you want something, people think they need to use some kind of language to negotiate around something and bring it into a loop and figure out how to get it without asking for it. All that does is build up aggravation on the other part of the party. It's going to be a yes or no. So don't beat around the bush. Don't hedge. You know, I was on a job site the other day. Look, we need to protect this. And it had another piece that ran the other side of the building, outside the building wall. Well, I got there. They said, well, we protected that pipe. And I said, did you? And I walked out there and looked at it. And yeah, inside the building, it was protected. And then I looked on the other side of the wall where that piece of pipe went out. And it was bent. It was, man, crimped shut. I said, what about this side of it? Well, I just, but it's good on this side. He was putting lipstick on that pig as hard as he could. Had that thing held up, putting lipstick on that squealer. I love the guy, man. He's a young guy, but he'll be all right. Honesty makes people respect you. Yeah. You try to stay out of, some people use a lie to get out of trouble. But when you do that, then you have to put lie on top of a lie on top of a lie until you reach a point where the loop no longer works and it comes to pieces and people see it. And being honest is, when you're dealing with another individual, Just be honest. Being honest nurtures relationships. Being honest can make you more confident. Being honest gives you a good reputation. That's something that's absolutely true. If you get known as a liar, people, when you're in an industry, believe me, we're not separated by that many degrees. What is it, 6 degrees from anyone on the face of the planet we're separated from? That means you know someone who knows 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 that guy. Okay? So, honesty makes people trust you. You don't want the reputation. I'd rather hear a no than a weak ass yes, knowing they're not going to do it. And when you advance through life, it gets easier and easier to recognize people who aren't being honest with you. Honesty is also, it also allows people to like you for who you are. You know, it's like a young man who's out there trying to find him a woman, and in a public situation, bar, concert, park, church, it doesn't matter, anywhere. The young man, he finds this gal attractive, and he'll puff himself up best he can to win her affections. However, as you march forward in that relationship, the other person will know who you are. They'll figure out that you ain't what you said you are. And then it puts stress on that relationship. What do you do then? You'll never know whether they would really like you or not for being who you are. So when they find out everything that wasn't true, it makes them difficult for us to like us anymore. Another problem is it ends up not liking you based on your lies. Then you'll never know they would have really liked you, who you are, for what you are, if you were honest in the first place. Remember, in life, some people will like us, and some people won't. It feels much better to be completely honest and authentic to yourself and find that person that likes you exactly for who you are. Now, if you don't like yourself, brother and sister, that's up to you to change on who you're going to be. There are people out there who don't like themselves. They engage in self-destructive behavior. Drugs, alcohol. I'm not condemning anybody for the use of none of that stuff, believe me. Does it control you, or do you control it? Are you using it to hide from something, or are you using it to relax and maybe enjoy a different state of consciousness? Are you the victim or the crime? All right, being honest. Anyway, moving along after that, then I talked about proper pre-planning. You as a manager or a crew member, do you contemplate and arrange for the needed tools, supplies, and equipment the day before your job? Or do you just go, I'll worry about it in the morning, then you get there at start time and you spend an exorbitant amount of time chasing around, going to hardware stores, going to Home Depot, going to the safety house, going to all these places and getting all the supplies you need. It's just an endless cycle if you get behind the 8 ball like that. You want to stay in front. Make sure that, it's like lunch. Do you wake up in the morning and fix your lunch? Well, you're doing it before you go to work, right? Or do you get to lunch and go, Man, I need to go get some lunch. I didn't bring my lunch. I need to drive and go get lunch. I need to do this. I need to do that. When if you plan, you plan. Um, remember the 5 P's. Proper planning prevents poor performance. And another adage along with that is plan your work and work your plan. Proper pre-planning. And then another thing is man lifts and fall protection. Now, man lift is a MAWP, which is the OSHA term for mobile aerial work platform. Being tied off is required while working from a mobile aerial work platform if you're going to be over 10 feet in the construction standard. So you should know that. Here's the story. You got a lift that needs to be moved. You're in somebody's way. Your lift, you parked it there, and it's in somebody's way. Hey, you need to move this lift. All right. Guy jumps. You say, go move that lift for that guy. Get it out of his way. Well, he doesn't want to walk out to the truck and get his fall protection. It's just going to be a minute. And he moves it without the fall protection. And then somebody like me walks in. I'm going, what in the heck are you doing? You can't be moving this machine. You know the rules. How are we going off the ramp? Don't matter. You got 50 guys watching you. There could be a new kid who's just getting into the business, and he's watching you. Be a good example. Go get the daggum harness and get tied off before you move that thing. Show them the right way to do it. All right? And then pre-demolition engineering survey. Pre-demolition engineering survey is to be completed prior to demolition by a competent person. Now, what is a pre-demolition survey? Well, it assures that you've done your walkthrough of the building. You don't have any structures that are about to collapse. You don't have any unstable structures. Check for utilities. Make sure the utilities are disconnected, such as power. Find the air gap where the main power has been cut off to the building. Or if you're doing interior, follow and make sure you see an air gap that supplies electricity to that part of the building you're working in. Make sure gas is disconnected. No gas is, it could be overhead heaters if you're doing an interior demolition. Make sure that gas line has been cut off at the source and you can find that air gap. If it's a total wreck, you need to make sure that it's turned off at the street and the meter has been removed and there's an air gap there. And then you want to check for, is there a basement? If you're going to use mechanical demolition, such as a track hoe with an attachment on it, are you going to inspect for a basement? Because you don't want to track a track hoe into a building to do demolition and realize that there's a basement after the fact. I have seen a track hoe a time or two in a basement, and it's something. Are there underground storage tanks? Are there tanks in the building like halon gases that remove the oxygen from the air in quite a hurry? If you pierce one, it could explode or it could cause suffocation for anybody who might be working in the area. So that's the importance of a pre-demolition survey. And you can reference the OSHA 1926-850. That's subpart T in the construction standard. And then dust control. There's dust everywhere. I'm sitting in the office right now, and we have air filters changed once a month, and there's still dust in this office. And as we do demolition, there's dust out there as well. There's dust in the demolition field, particularly insulation and, more dangerously, silica dust if we're breaking or chipping concrete. The best way to control dust is through water, ample use of water. But you really need to consult the OSHA standard on silica and then Table 1. Table one is various uh, things that we do in the construction industry that generate silica dust, where it's running a chip and hammer or a drill, or wrecking a building or drilling concrete. It's very specific in Table 1 on what type of protection you have to have. It may require, a lot of it requires water, and a lot of it requires water and a half-face respirator with a high-efficiency filter on it. So you need to be aware of it. You know, OSHA's not, well, I'm using water. OSHA don't want to hear that. If that's not what it says in Table 1, you need to be doing what it says in Table 1, or they're going to cite you. Same with, yeah. And then the final thing I talked about on this past recap is starting the day right on the job site. You as a leader, and I'm going to assume everybody's a leader, as a leader, you need to be on time. Matter of fact, you need to be 15 or 20 minutes early to walk the job site and see what hazards there are, and write up the pre-task plan. Yeah, pre-task plan is the most important tool on the job site. So write up the PTP, identify what PPE you're going to need, identify if there's any permits you need, confined space, burn permits, and then do the hazard analysis for the PTP. You'll be doing this task, then you have these hazards, then you have how we're going to mitigate those hazards. And if you got 3 different activities going on in that day, you probably need to have 3 different PTPs. You can combine it, no problemo, okay? But after you've completed that PTP, before everybody commences work, you need to gather the team around and review that PTP and do a little safety training if needed. Talk about something, if there's a pinch point hazard on your AHA on the PTP, then take 5 minutes and talk about additional pinch hazards or caught in between hazards that may be out there, not maybe relative to the job. It is a pinch point or caught in between, but expand on that. Talk about other caught in between hazards or pinch hazards that you may have on the job, or you may be looking forward next on the job, or you've seen in the past. Start getting guys thinking about a particular subject when during the PTP. But have that meeting with your guys. It takes 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Have them sign the PTP. When they sign that PTP, they have acknowledged, they have confirmed that you have covered with them the hazards that they expect to run across during the day and how to mitigate those hazards. So do that. Take that time, start the day right, be on time, be prepared, review the PTP in a PTP meeting prior to the commencement of work activities. Okay? You'll find that you have a safer, more productive workforce if you start each day in that way. Remember, speed of the team is the speed of the leader. You set the pace. All right. We've jabbered along. I've jabbered along. Just waiting to see if anybody would join in. It's 6:29. This stream's been going for 51 minutes and 57 seconds. Looks like something along those lines. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at the other screen here. I'm new at this old 2 watching now, huh? Cool. All right. Started 55 minutes ago. I've got a meeting here in just a little while. safety meeting. We're doing some OSHA training. That's why I'm in here today. I'm normally bunkered. I told you that earlier. I'm normally bunkered in the hills, but I'm doing safety training today, so I won't get out of here till probably noon today, and it's some time driving. Get home this evening, go to the grocery store. I need to cut my grass, but it's supposed to rain all day today. Blah, 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 blah. And I got to pack all this stuff up. Anyway, sounds like I got people rolling in. Well, I'm going to conclude this. Everybody, whoever stops by and watches this thing, hey, man, I appreciate it. And I promise you, someday in the future, in the near future, I'll try and do these on a regular basis. If you happen upon this and you see this video and you watch a portion of it and you think it's valuable, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you go to the other channel that you'll see listed up top. All right, boys and girls, have a grateful day. I'll see you in the field.